guys? This is Lucid Rain, and today we are here with Adam once again. Hello.
Hello.
And we're basically going to talk about the over reliance on monetization and just greedy practices in the gaming industry and all that kind of stuff, microtransactions, all that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll start with sports games because they are one of the biggest offenders of that. So the latest you were saying earlier, Chris, that Madden literally is pretty much that as an entity. So
Yeah, it's all the sports games have Ultimate Team, which you buy card packs, and it's kind of similar to like how the whole outrage with the loot boxes were. I mean, it's essentially the same practice. So you buy card packs, hoping that you get certain players, and compete online. And if you're just starting out, you're pretty much fucked. So like you kind of have to either sink a fuck ton of time into it or buy card packs to be competitive.
Yeah.
Because if you're a team that has all 70 overall players going up against someone that bought card packs or doesn't have a life and just plays, Madden, FIFA, or 2K all day long, you're going to get fucking stomped even if they're garbage. Because, like player skills and shit like that, it's not like a shooter where it's pretty much all skill based. It's skill based, but like if someone's at 98 speed and the fastest that you have on your team is fucking 78, like you're fucked. Like you can't, skill won't fix that gap.
Yeah, right. I mean, at that point it's pay to win for the most part, and that's what they do. They make it so that you have to put in so much time to get stuff that you could just easily swipe your credit card for and get like instantly. But if you don't want to do that, you got to play for a million hours.
They make it really easy to buy stuff too, which like I think it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like they usually shove the store in your face in these games.
I was, I think, taking a shower and left MLB The Show on, and my son went and bought like 3 add-ons or like 2 add-ons that equaled the same price as the game, if not more.
Oh,
so
no.
like
Jesus.
and it was shit that I didn't, I just play the basic modes and don't do any of the bullshit. So there was no need for me to have any of that. So I was pissed.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that they make it really easy to buy stuff.
Yeah, I was able to get a refund, but it was a
oh, that's good.
It was a process. Like they don't make it easy to get a refund on the PlayStation Store.
Oh yeah, they don't. It's really hard to get a refund through them.
Yeah, these days it should be much easier.
Yeah, it should be. And also with the sports game thing, let's talk about how they literally don't do anything besides change the players and the roster, and they charge you another $70 every single year. Obviously that's an exaggeration. They change some stuff, but like
they change very little. And here's the problem.
They barely change anything.
With like we'll highlight Madden. Madden 06 has just as many features and is just as detailed and engaging. And you buy a sports game, it's labeled as a simulation game. So I mean, you're basically playing a sports RPG. You're trying to immerse yourself in the world and like feel like you're watching it on Sundays. Like
right.
It's supposed to be simulation, but none of it is like engaging, and it doesn't have like the feeling of, oh, this is I'm watching real football.
Right.
And they don't even try. They really don't, and it's kind of infuriating.
I mean, what was it? Madden 22 and 23. They literally had like the signs in the crowd were saying the game was the previous game. Because they literally just copy and pasted the entire crowd and probably everything else.
I don't really know if there's another gaming franchise where a game in the same franchise from 2006 has just as much features and is arguably a better game gameplay wise.
Yeah, I mean, believe they are, but I wouldn't really know.
And the fans complain and say they want this, want that, you know, are tired of this, tired of that. And they act like they're hearing fans and will kind of do a couple things to, you know, quell the noise, but
Right.
it's all pretty superficial and, you know, just
They don't actually want to fix anything because people are complaining. They just want them to shut up. That's just how those companies are. And the thing with sports games, with it being literally the same game every year and like just changing the roster, there's probably a very small amount of like out of the people who buy sports games, how many of them are actually complaining that they don't change anything? Probably a very small amount of people, because casual people play sports games more than anyone, I think.
I think it's a fair amount of people, just because that is a game that even people that buy it casually buy it every year, or at least every other year.
I think they don't know better. I think, I don't know. I personally think like more than 50% of sports games fans don't know better.
I think maybe the only people that wouldn't know any better are like the younger demographic, but anyone that's older has played all of the older games in the franchise more than likely, and those are the ones that are most vocal, because we, you know, have been playing it for going on 20 years, you know, and the fact that something from 2006, which, you know, that's coming up on 20 years here somewhat soon.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, it's objectively better. And the only thing that's really improved is graphics. And like I was talking to Emmanuel probably about a month ago, wouldn't it make sense for them to just make roster updates, DLC, and have it be like you buy Madden, there's no 24, there's no anything. You buy Madden, you buy 2K, and you basically would pay DLC for the new game. So you buy the new rosters, essentially. And then anything that they improve on with the new rosters, you know, would just be in the DLC. And when you buy the DLC, it would update your fucking game.
Yeah,
you know?
They could just do like an expansion type thing every year instead of literally charging you $70 for little to no change.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been doing that for years, but I also could just keep, you know, selling you the same game over and over again.
Because they know people will pay $70 for a roster change, and that's it. Like they know people will keep buying it. That's what sucks.
That's the crazy thing. Sports games are like, they exist within their own bubble in gaming, it feels like. They exist outside of gaming to the point where the things that have improved or have affected gaming don't affect sports games. You know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that kind of started the whole like war against loot boxes, and especially pay to win in general. Pay to win now, that's not really even a thing when you really look around for most games. Like,
not
and
really.
if something is, it's like a cosmetic that, you know, visually helps in some way. But I mean, sports games, it's not even like that. It's not, oh, this cosmetic, it gives you an advantage. I mean, like Chris said, you can just straight up buy your way to victory, and there's still loot boxes. So why are sports games, why do they exist outside of every other game? It's so
they don't get nearly as much flack as they should, and they do get flack, but like people should be up in arms about these sports games. Like, they're literally the lowest rated games of the year every year since like 22, or not 22, since like 20 or something.
No.
Like, and they don't care, because I mean, at the end of the day, why would they care about Metacritic
I mean,
scores?
the company doesn't care. They sure as shit.
They just you can tell that there is like, there's no passion at all. You know,
None.
if it was, because there is a bunch of football games that are like small startups and different independent studios trying to make football games because people are fed up with EA. But the problem is they have that licensing, and that's kind of what draws the people in.
Yeah.
Is the pre-existing franchises, because like the NFL is one of the biggest entertainment platforms, period. I mean, like the Super Bowl, people call off of work because of it. Like it's pretty much a holiday. So, it has a lot of pull and sway, and independent studios they have no chance to stack up against something that established that already has the groundwork laid. Even if it's a better product, but
no one's gonna give it a chance though, for the most part.
No.
Yeah,
it's
and
the same.
It's small studios usually, and like I've listened to reviews on a couple of them, and they're basically like PS2 games as far as like gameplay and graphics go, and it sucks because if someone could, I don't know, maybe at least with EA, once the licensing agreement runs out, maybe a different studio will try and breathe some life into it, and we might actually have a sports game that's not garbage.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's what happens when you have no competition.
Yeah,
you have no
I guess so.
competition.
They don't have.
You pretty much can just make what the fuck you want, and everyone's going to either play it or not, but they're going to play it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's bad or not, because you don't have an alternative.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that the indie alternative, like there'll be a bigger AAA game that's awful, and an indie dev will do the same thing, but do it way better. But no, for the most part, people won't really catch on to the fact that the indie game's better. Sometimes they do. It's rare though. Like BattleBit is a good example of a game that caught on with people. It was basically, for those who don't know, BattleBit Remastered is basically just Battlefield with way worse graphics, but it's like a lot of fun. It's literally Battlefield, and it had a ton of players, and it's a random game made by like 3 people. It had a ton of players, literally more than 2042, the last Battlefield game. So if that would happen more often, like that would be great, because then AAA companies would think, people are playing this game made by 3 people more than ours. Maybe we should actually make a decent game, but it doesn't happen often enough for them to think that.
Yeah, and one thing you'll notice is with these big AAA studios, they usually have so many games going on at once that they're kind of just like, this one takes a hit and shits out. We still have 3 more that are going to be released. So one of them is bound to hit, or if they release a game every year, like Activision, it doesn't matter if one of the Call of Duties fucking flops, because they're gonna have 2 or 3 coming out in the next 2-3 years, so they have another chance of hitting again.
Call of Duty doesn't flop anyway, though, because a flop to Call of Duty is like a sale. Like, say the sales are not that good for Call of Duty, that's still good sales for the average
for
game.
Any other game. Yeah.
So if Infinite Warfare, the one everyone hated supposedly, it was the best-selling game of the entire year. Like, I don't think they can actually flop a Call of Duty, which is like depressing, because they are literally robbing people every year, just like these sports games. Like, I feel like they get lazier and lazier every year.
The closest they've come to a flop is like Vanguard, and even then it sold pretty decently, I believe.
It still sold well, I hear. And of course their microtransactions and their monetization is just through the roof. That's just Activision as a whole. Like, that's not just Call of Duty.
I mean, Activision has been on a warpath to just literally make the absolute worst products with the worst monetization possible. Blizzard, under Activision, I mean, who is even worse than Blizzard right now? The way they treat their employees, the games they make, the microtransactions, the lies they tell to try to make you to buy their games
Yeah,
that
it's
they don't
crazy
follow
what
through
they get
on.
away with.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild what they get away with. It makes you wonder, like, is it even possible for them to cross the line? Like, will they ever
Exactly.
like get in trouble for anything they do? Because I remember with Overwatch 2, they literally promised the PvE mode, and then they were like, they just never released it. They like canceled it or something.
Yeah.
But that was after like, I don't know. I feel like it was a really long. I feel like it was literally like a year that they announced that it had a PvE mode, maybe longer.
No, I mean it's been multiple years, I'm pretty sure, because the PvE mode was the main reason why Overwatch 2 even existed.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and I mean they had excuses lined up. They were stacking the
Yeah.
excuses. They had them lined up. The Overwatch 2, the reason Overwatch 1 apparently didn't have content for like 3 years or however long, apparently was because they were working so hard on Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 comes out and is the exact same game.
Literally the same game. Yeah.
And you can't make the argument that oh no, you haven't played it because the balancing is different. Brother, I hate to break it to you, but balancing is not a new game. This is something that can come in a big patch.
Is balancing worth $70? Actually, no.
Overwatch 2 was free.
Yeah,
but that's the other big problem is that people will say, "Oh, well, it's free. You know, what are you upset about?" As if that makes it any better. As if we should just let mediocrity just rule everything because it's free. Okay,
Yeah.
well, it's not.
It's
because
if we want to talk about free games, just look at Fortnite. I mean, like, it's not something that I personally play, but you can tell that's something that they keep up with and actively try and improve it and listen to people, it seems like. So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of one example of a game that the creators give a little bit of a fuck about at the moment.
I think they definitely do to some extent care about Fortnite, because I mean they update it like so often, it's crazy. But
Fortnite seems to at least have a little bit of integrity.
Yeah.
That the devs seem to at least think that, hey, our product should at least be somewhat engaging so that people want to play it and we can have an audience. But like, yeah, I mean, Activision as a whole, especially Blizzard, they unironically think that they can do whatever they want, lie about whatever they want, and just have absolutely no passion and spit in people's faces, and they'll just keep making the big bucks no matter what. And then the strangest thing about it is that somehow people still defend. They still sit here and defend Blizzard and Activision.
Yeah, I don't know why they even have people defending them.
I don't know.
It really sucks because Activision at one point was a great studio.
Yeah, I mean, used to have...
I enjoyed a lot of their games at one point when it wasn't just Call of fucking Duty.
Yeah,
and you know, a bunch of bullshit.
They have Crash Bandicoot and Spyro now. They even over-monetized Crash Team Racing. I don't know if anyone knew about this, but they said Crash Team Racing would have no store and no microtransactions.
I do remember hearing that.
The game came out, they got all the reviews out of the way, added microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, dude?
Typical Activision bullshit.
That's outrageous. They literally just said they would not do that, and they just did it anyway. Like,
and it's always Activision. It always comes back to Activision.
Yeah.
I mean, plenty of companies are really bad with it, but Activision is so consistently ridiculous with the shit they do. And then, yeah, I mean, half the shit they do is like borderline illegal. If not, it is illegal. I mean, not to take it back to the same topics over and over again, but Overwatch with the PvE, I mean, you know, they were hyping up the PvE for so long. Again, that was why Overwatch 2 existed. That's why Overwatch 1 stopped getting support. And then they released Overwatch 2, and they're like, yeah, we're going to release it early so that you can get your hands on the multiplayer. As if anyone cared, right? Who cares? You still have Overwatch 1. Why do we need 2?
Yeah.
So they push it out. give you a multiplayer experience, and then no word on PvE, and then they just cancel it. It's
Yeah,
like,
just
I don't
drop
know.
it.
We're not doing PvE at all, basically. And what they did release of PvE sucked and was like $15 for some random experience.
I don't think they were making it. I firmly
I don't think
believe
so either. I don't
that
think
they
so.
were not. They never even started development on PvE.
Yeah,
I think that was genuinely just a lie.
And would you be surprised? I mean, what they're doing is, I mean, it might be illegal, but I'm gonna say borderline illegal. You're saying you're putting out this thing for this game and putting out skins all the time, you know, just pumping out skins day in and day out so that people buy them. And people might buy this expecting the game to have a big change. And then Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1. It takes so long for new content to come out, just like Overwatch 1, and then new content comes out, and it sucks anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, people were expecting, you know, this big patch of PvE that makes an entire second half of the game that you can actually interact with. And then it releases, it sucks, and it's nothing like what they said it would be. And any mention of a bigger mode is scrapped. They told you it's done for. They're not doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I don't know if this would be too far, but I feel like if a developer promises this game will have this and doesn't have a good reason not to, they should have to make it. Like, I feel like
I mean, yeah.
That's
Well, you think
advertising.
false advertising's a thing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're
You
advertising
would think
something
that
and
there'd
not
be
delivering on it.
consequences for just lying to your clientele. I mean,
Right.
in
Yeah.
any other business situation or scenario, saying that you're going to deliver a product and not delivering it would be grounds for lawsuits and
Yeah.
you know, like, people lose a fuck ton of money off stuff like that because if you offer something, you have to give it.
Yeah.
Right. And they have no problem saying they're gonna do something and just not delivering it and just not even caring about that. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Because like we always say, if literally any other medium was like that, they just promised something and that just wasn't true, like completely and utterly false, they would probably get in trouble in some capacity.
Yeah. To some extent, at the very least.
Yeah, it's like saying, like, I don't know, these headphones are waterproof or something, and then they touch a drop of water and they just explode, and it's like, yeah, well, we thought it was. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know. We assumed it was. Just kind of had a feeling it would be, so we put it on the box.
And with all the crazy monetization and shit, they had the audacity in I think this was 2020 or 2019, they had the audacity to make games go up by $10. It's like, are you guys out of your minds? And then people were.
You know what's really crazy about that? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
But the fact that games are mostly digital now, and they increase the price, it's just.
Yeah.
I think that just adds to the bullshit factor, because like, you're essentially buying the license of something instead of owning the game, and they're charging more. They're charging more for you to have less claim as a consumer. Like,
Yep.
in what world does that make any fucking sense? We're already taxed like fucking crazy. Everything's already expensive, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna make everything more expensive for you guys. We know the economy's fucked, but you know, that means you can spend more money on games. Like, what the fuck?
Their excuse is that games take more money to make, so we gotta increase. No, you don't. Games are more profitable than they've literally ever been in history right now.
Yeah.
And they have more microtransactions than they've ever had. So you do not need to increase the price. You are fine.
I think we can all agree quality has went down across the board. I mean, stuff that we were playing in 2015 and 16 is leagues better than pretty much anything coming out now.
Yeah, I mean quality has definitely gone down because they don't feel the need to make a good game.
So
Because-
why does it cost so much to make shitty games
Exactly.
that they're not
Like,
putting effort into?
It's like Ubisoft, dude. They make a garbage game every year. They make multiple garbage games every year sometimes, and they're $70 every time, and they're consistently bad. Like it's actually insane. And they're
Yeah.
like, the game takes more money to make, so we need the extra $10. All right, dude.
It's crazy to say that games cost more money to make because the understanding for the longest time, since games have just become more and more popular over the years, that the reason games do cost more, but the reason that doesn't matter is because the audience has gotten so much bigger.
Exactly, yeah.
That
That completely circumvents that.
Yeah, it circumvents it. And that was the understanding for the longest time. Hence why there are games out there that are leagues better than anything else, and you can hardly argue it. Like the only people you ever hear argue it are like randos online that you don't even know who they are. You know, there's plenty of games out there like Elden Ring and other games that are just $60 still. They're not $70.
Yeah.
But they have more in them than most games and are more enjoyable than most other games that are out.
Yeah.
I mean,
The $60 games are better than the $70 games, it seems like. Like Capcom games, they're not, I don't think they're doing $70 yet either. And FromSoft games, those are some of the best games like that come out, period. And they're not even $70, and they're charging $70 for like 2K17 or not 17, 2K 2023, Call of Duty, and Ubisoft's garbage. Everything they put out, it's just like, it's absolutely wild.
Yeah. I mean, Call of Duty, and I've talked about this before, Call of Duty is crazy with their pricing. The fact that you can pay $70 for Call of Duty to get the multiplayer and the campaign, and people can act all they want like the Call of Duty campaigns are something worth playing because like the cutscenes look nice, but let's be real, these campaigns are horrible.
They're always the fucking same.
Yeah, I mean, now they're getting so ridiculous that they're retelling a story that they told 10 years ago with the Modern Warfare series, but worse. So you're experiencing the same story. The shit sucks. The set pieces are not as cool. The only thing that's better is the graphics, and like that's it. So you're paying $70 for that campaign and the multiplayer. Meanwhile, people can play the Battle Royale, people can play Warzone for $0. It doesn't cost people to play Warzone anything. And the people that buy the game, they still also have to pay for the Battle Pass and all the cosmetics. You don't get anything special for buying the game. You get the multiplayer. The multiplayer that's neglected anyway. What you get like 2 maps every like 4 months. Oh,
they barely put out content for the multiplayer, and they basically put all their stock into Warzone. That's where their work goes to, it seems like. Instead of, which is like you said, it's free. But yeah, it seems like the multiplayer is literally just some afterthought to make them a little extra money.
Yeah, I mean, how is this anything else besides a scam? You're literally funneling the money you get from the suckers who will buy the multiplayer and campaign and funneling it into Warzone.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah, that's wild. They don't, I don't know. They're just anything to do less work. Like, and of course the maps are gonna have better graphics. And
people
stuff.
fall for it, though. I mean,
they do.
You almost can't fault them. If you can put minimal effort forth to do something and make just as much money as when you put maximum effort forth, why would you do it? Why would you put effort forth?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's how they see it. They're just like, why would we try when everyone buys our game every year anyway? Why would we try to make a good game? What's
and that's
the point?
I mean, this problem goes farther than gaming. You know, it's pretty much every sector. People are just, quality of products have just went down with pretty much everything. But there's so many big conglomerates and people that just are so well established that they have holds on the market and they don't give a fuck. And they're like,
Yeah.
if you don't buy this, 1,000 other people are going to. So
Yeah,
us losing
right.
your purchase means nothing to us.
Yeah.
And they pretty much just tell that to you. Like,
Yeah. They're getting to the point where they almost don't have to advertise the game. Like they probably, if they just said nothing about Modern Warfare 3 and just said, yeah, this game's coming out, literally no advertisement, nothing, no marketing, I'm sure everyone would buy it anyway.
Yeah, because people
what's
people
the
on
alert?
Twitter do all the advertising for them.
is what I really don't understand. Like, what is driving people to buy all this fucking
Dude, nostalgia.
bullshit?
That's it. It's people wanting the Call of Duty that they got 12 years ago, and they
Yeah.
want that so badly that they're just hoping they'll get it together and just make a good game. It's not gonna happen. Hasn't happened in the past 10 years. It's not gonna happen now.
Here's the thing about it, that there's a lot that goes into it. As someone who's shamefully bought some of the Call of Duty games recently, not all of them, of course, but some of them. I mean, it feels as though games want to stay away and stay out of Call of Duty's way because they know how many people watch it. So in the month of Call of Duty, I mean, what the hell else are you gonna buy, right? The game comes out,
That's
it's
true.
in your face, you're being bombarded by it at every corner. Everyone's playing it, so it has a huge fan base. And then all your friends are gonna ask you, "Oh, are we getting this? Or are we getting Call of Duty? Are you getting it? Is he getting it?" And for a lot of people, it's easy to just buy it, just before anyone even has to ask. Just be the first person to buy it, and
Yeah,
all
I
your
guess
friends
so.
will follow through, buy it as well. And in addition to that, it's like FOMO. You know, like
How
you
much
know
does
that this Call of
streaming
Duty-
impact this?
I mean, that was another thing that I was gonna get into. Streaming is huge, but yeah, I mean, with FOMO, it's like you can only play the game that year almost. It feels like, right? Like,
Yeah, because they
can't-
don't really. The next game, everyone's gonna be talking about and playing that one, so
yeah.
people don't talk
So-
about the previous COD.
So if this was just a single player game, plenty of people would skip out. I mean, who the hell cares, right? But you can't skip out on Call of Duty. If you have any interest in buying it, you will be buying it for $70. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get the chance. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But yeah, in addition to that, streaming, that's another big thing. There's nothing wrong with streamers. Streamers, I mean, you know, if you want to get into the particulars, like, yeah, obviously there's probably some streamers that are bad people, but a streamer is not a bad person. But the thing is, streamers get paid to play these games, right? So they can go ahead and buy these $100 editions that lets you play that fucking Call of Duty campaign of all things 4 days or a week early. And these games know that these streamers are going to sit here and buy these games. And obviously $100 from one person is not enough. But enough people see that, they're like, oh, wait, I can play Call of Duty right now?
Yeah.
And, you know, if a big streamer's playing that, you see that and you're like, oh, I can play Call of Duty campaign right now. Oh, well, I don't want to, you know, get it spoiled for me. And, like, all my favorite streamers are probably going to be playing it. So they're just going to go out and buy it as well.
They kind of do the marketing for them. I mean, they're called influencers for a reason.
Yeah. And, you know, that's not their fault. They probably don't think that hard into it, for one. And for two, I mean, that's their way of making money. I mean, you
they're
can't
getting
blame them.
paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smart on the part of the business, you know, and studios.
No, yeah. They're making their money back. That $70 or however much they pay
And
is not
part of the
that much.
problem is, I feel like, you know, comparably to when we were growing up, you know, there was no streamers, there was none of that shit. So you bought it, you saw a game, maybe you saw a commercial or something, or you had a fucking magazine. But now, kids are so impressionable, they're easily getting, you know, the kids are the ones that are watching these streamers and shit like that, and they're gonna go bug their parents. And I mean, you're essentially attacking people that are very impressionable and liable to buy something or have something bought without care for quality.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's definitely predatory. Yeah.
I mean, again, with FOMO is ruling the gaming industry right now, like crazy. I mean, the big games, all the big games, like Warzone, Fortnite, Apex, all that shit, they have stores, obviously, and they all have these stores where, I mean, you can't buy whatever you want. You can only buy like a few things. I mean, you play Fortnite. How many skins do you think Fortnite has? Tens of thousands at the minimum? Yeah. Like, something comes into the store and you want to buy it, even if it's not that cool. Even if you know what skin you think is the coolest in the game that you want to come back, that you didn't get the opportunity to buy before. I mean, you're like, oh, well, this is second best. Who knows how long it'll be before the other skin comes back. I might as well just buy this in the months leading up to, months or years even, I suppose, leading up to the skin I really want to come back to actually buy it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with Call of Duty, well, actually, with Fortnite as well, and Apex and all these games, previous content gets phased out, right? So you hear something's cool, the current map or current item or whatever the big thing is in the game, you want to go play it because it might never come back. You might never get the chance to play these games.
Yeah.
I mean, when I realized things were like different these days is when I saw people having nostalgia for like launch Fortnite. You think about it and it's like, oh, that's not that long, and you realize that shit was like 7 years ago. So on one hand, you want to say, oh, come on, nostalgia for Fortnite, just go play it. On the other hand, though, it really has been 7 years, and you'll never get that back. It's almost worse, you don't even get the option to play that anymore. If we wanted to play a game from the past, we could go play it. You can't play, Fortnite anymore the way it used to be. But
yeah, I mean, it's not gonna revert back. I mean, very rare cases, like they did World of Warcraft Classic or whatever it's called. That was like the only thing, and even that was like way worse than the original. So it basically, you can't really go back and play these games in the state they used to be, even if you like them, the state it used to be more. So
so all in all, when you find something you like in one of these games, you better keep playing and shut up and stop complaining. You sit down and keep playing your game, because you might never get to experience the current thing that's in the game. At least that's the way the company sees it. Probably it's like, stop complaining and buy the next product and play the next season. You will like the next season, whether you do or don't. You have to, because it might just get worse from here, buddy.
Yeah. And what is with people defending like companies that nickel and dime them? What is up with that?
I don't know. Like, why the hell are you defending the companies? They have so much money. They don't like you.
What black magic are they using?
They like you a lot. But it's not for you. It's the fact that you're willing to fork over your hard-earned money for shit that they don't even put any effort towards.
Yeah, and they defend them.
They think it's a joke. They laugh at all the consumers.
Yeah,
there's no way they don't.
They easily do. Like, I don't know what they're doing to make people literally defend things that are ripping them off, like actively ripping them off, but it's crazy.
I don't know, because they made a game that they'd liked 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Is that where the loyalty comes from? Like,
I don't know. So you say that company sucks, and then they're like, oh, so my opinion must mean nothing to you. They get angry at you. It's quite something.
Yeah, like, what blows my mind is the people that were defending, like, Overwatch 2, for example. It's just like, dude, they don't like you. Why? Like, they rip you off at every turn. Why are you defending them? I don't understand. I really don't
Stockholm Syndrome Overwatch fans. They're like, oh, Overwatch used to be so good, man. I used to come home and play Overwatch, man. It's like, oh my lord, guys, like, stop being, stop wallowing in your like nostalgia so
I
hard.
think
You know
nostalgia
how many
kind of
games?
blinds people.
Oh, it does. You know how many games there are out there that the three of us can no longer even play? I mean, you know, you could go back to them, sure, but you know, we don't get new content for games anymore that we would have loved. Like, what the hell?
Right.
You know, we don't get that. We don't get to play new content from so many games from the past. These people get new content, and I mean, they just can't let go that it sucks now. It's strange. If something sucks, I'm not gonna play it. I don't care
Yeah,
about the
right.
nostalgia.
Why are you gonna sit there and be like, sit there and hope it meets what it used to be? Like, that's hopeless. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
that's just up in the air. I don't know why you would even do that.
and they try to tell
Gaming
you.
is soulless nowadays.
Yeah.
Is what I think it comes down to. Honestly, like
a lot of it
and I
is.
think part of it is people getting older. And like, here's the thing, you know, we're never going to get back the feelings of playing video games as teenagers. I mean, it's just that time is done in our lives. Like, you know, so many things change, and I feel like it's people wanting to recapture like moments in time. And the fact is, like, you're not going to recapture that. So why sit there and make yourself miserable and let yourself
literally.
get taken advantage of for something that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You know, you're saying you'll never feel the way you did when you were a teenager playing these games. Yeah, you might not, but you can still play games that are extremely enjoyable out there. You know, they're way more rare
Yeah.
now, but there are games that you can find a lot of joy in. So what is with people playing these games, bless you, that
Sorry.
literally do make you miserable? Why are people addicted to the misery of these shitty games?
Yeah.
You know, in the past, it might be that it's like, oh, like this game sucks, but I do like it. I do like what it does. It's unique, and more than anything, I see the potential. Okay, that's fine. I can understand that. But like, you can't even make that argument for a lot of these games. I mean, again, Overwatch. It's like, you know, people want to act like Overwatch is the most unique thing ever, but I mean, it isn't. It never was, even. Acting like there's nothing you could play that's anything like it.
Yeah, right.
Or, you know, even despite that, you could just play something that is different, that doesn't make you miserable. Why keep playing these games when you can say you see the potential, but the company doesn't? And that's so obvious that the company doesn't, because they never did. You know,
Yeah.
Blizzard probably cared about Overwatch, like, for the first year it came out, maybe, and that was it. If you couldn't realize in the past, who knows how many years since Overwatch 1 and 2 have been out, 5 or something, if in this 5-year period you haven't been able to notice that they clearly don't care about the potential and they just want to milk you for your last dollar, I mean, brother, you just need some help, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
you genuinely need some potential counseling of how to view products and value products, because these companies don't care, buddy. If they didn't 3 years ago, they still don't now.
Yeah. And the
it's
thing,
only getting worse.
I
Yeah.
feel like it is. I honestly, I feel like I feel like all of this has gotten worse. But there is alternatives to these games sometimes. Sometimes they're indie. Actually, a lot of the time they're indie, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, if you really want to play this game and they're ripping you off, nickel and diming you at every turn, play the game that's like it, at least somewhat like it, because usually there is something. Some games there's not. Like Diablo 4 is like one of the scummiest games ever, and
You could play Path of Exile.
yeah, you
But,
could,
yeah.
but like there's not a new one. If you've
Yeah.
already played that or something, like what are you gonna play in place of that? Like, I don't know. There isn't too many games that are just like it.
Yeah.
So-
That's
And that's a problem, because then they can do whatever they want, because people don't have an alternative thing to go to.
yeah. And you brought up Diablo, you know, another Blizzard game. It's really strange because it feels like everyone at Blizzard, the developers and especially the higher ups, they genuinely think that they're still in the golden age of Blizzard. even though everyone who was at Blizzard when they made these games that were like genre defining, like such as Diablo 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, like those developers are not there. Those executives for that company are no longer there, and they haven't been for years. So I don't know why people. I don't know why the company even still thinks like they're on top of the world, where they can do this crazy shit with Diablo and Overwatch.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
you can't just. I mean, Diablo is a mystery because the game was actually going pretty well with only some people, like mostly older people that really liked Diablo 1 and 2 in particular, that didn't like Diablo 4 at launch, and then they just ruined the game themselves
Yeah.
with stuff that doesn't even particularly make them more money. Yeah, a lot of the stuff they did was to slow the game down so that you continuously play the game and stay on the game. But like, you got to realize that eventually, and I know it does feel like people never put their foot down, with something like Call of Duty, but with Diablo, it seems people did put their foot down with 4 at least, and
Yeah.
good. I mean, eventually, people are going to, if you make a game that is fun, and then you yourself want the game to, you want to monetize the game so bad that you don't even care that you made a fun game and you will ruin the game. I mean, that's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
do they see us as like germs on a petri dish? I
Yeah,
mean,
we're
obviously,
literally
right? But
we're literally to them just like hamsters on a wheel. Like
yeah,
they think we're just gonna take whatever they do to this game and just run with it and keep playing it. Like no, people are going to stop. Like if the game was fun and it no longer is, they're like, well, they thought it was fun to begin with, so they're gonna keep playing, right? It's like no, we're human beings. Like
yeah,
What in the world?
yeah. I mean, it's crazy, and all this, everything we said, like that's not to even bring into the equation that, I mean, would it really hurt any of these devs to just or even these executives to let the developers have just a little bit of passion? Like, I'm not asking for someone to make like the best game ever made every time, the most genre defining piece of media with every single game that comes out. But there are some companies out there that it's just like, there is no shot that a single developer has one iota of care for these games. I mean, there are companies that refuse to put out good games. They literally do not want to put out good games, it feels like. And how is that even
Ubisoft.
possible? Yeah, Ubisoft. I mean, that's a great example. How does it just so happen that they don't even accidentally ever make a good game? Like,
Yeah, that is
how does that
crazy.
even happen? You can never even accidentally make a good product? What? How?
Yeah, just nothing sticks that they throw at the wall. Nothing ever.
Yeah. and that's another thing. Nothing sticks. Not even one facet of a lot of these games is even good. Not even one
Yeah.
thing. Like, if you don't make one good game ever, that's pretty crazy in and of itself. But a lot of the mechanics in the games are not even interesting.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, how?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it just comes down to them just making a good game is off the table. Like
Exactly.
that is not on their minds, period. That is not an option.
I guess the last thing to say is just you see that there are good games out there, and it's like,
And
I don't know.
they do
Like,
get
it
shine.
can't.
I mean, Elden Ring did kind of blow up, and a lot of people talked about it, and even like, I know God of War is kind of old, but God of War 2, when that came out, it got a fair amount of hype and shine, and I mean, games that are well put together and had care behind them seem to still do well, but most of them
Yeah,
are
they do.
single player
Yeah.
games typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. For the
No,
most
the-
part, because those are the games that have the passion put into them.
Yeah, good games do well, and it shows that there's still a potential for good games. I mean,
Right.
obviously, right? But sometimes it's hard to remember that, is that games
Yeah.
can still be good, but for some reason, some of these companies just don't think that. They don't want that to even be a reality. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
and
just-
I
Well,
think
they would argue that they're making good games. You know.
would they? I don't even know if they would.
I don't know. I think they literally know their games suck. Like most of them.
Yeah. I couldn't, in good faith, imagine a Blizzard employee making Overwatch 2 or that patch for Diablo 4 and be like, yeah, this is genuinely a good thing that people want.
Yeah, not a chance.
But yeah, I mean, it shows that they genuinely don't want good games because, you know, Larian made Baldur's Gate 3, and Baldur's Gate 3 is good from what I've seen. I haven't played it, but it seems good. But at the same time, Baldur's Gate 3 does not seem like it's like black magic. Like, this is not something achievable. It's just good. It just has good mechanics, good voice acting, and, you know, good scripting and all that. It's just a good game. It's not like, you know, this is made by like the world's strongest AI fueled by 7,000 employees. It's just a game made by Larian Studios, who in the grand scheme of things is not even that big of a company. Like,
Yeah, and the developers were like getting mad that people were like saying that should be the standard. Like,
yeah,
you really don't want to make a good game that badly that you're getting on games that are good. Like, you're like, it's kind of funny, but it's also sad.
Yeah, companies, some of these developers, you know, were saying that Larian had so much funding and so many employees when the companies that the devs that the devs came from were bigger than Larian in every way.
Yeah.
They had infinite funds with thousands of employees, and they're complaining. Like, man, talk about I actually forget the word, but, you know, talk about wallowing in your own misery when you know, you're trying to downplay yourself as the, you know, as the rising star when you're working for one of the biggest companies in gaming. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was Lucid Brain. Let us know if you agree with literally anything we've said, if you're one of the few people that comment, and we will see you guys next time.